What if the woman who revolutionized fashion, creating timeless symbols of elegance, was hiding a secret history darker than we could ever imagine? Coco Chanel, the face of luxury, had a life full of twists and turns that seem almost too strange to be true. How could the woman who gave us the iconic little black dress, the perfect Chanel No. 5, and the spirit of modern femininity also be linked to one of the most controversial chapters of World War II? Was she the visionary we admire? Or was she a master manipulator using her genius to disguise a much more complex and troubling reality? As we peel back the layers of her legacy, we'll ask, how much of what we know about Chanel is the truth, and how much is a carefully curated myth? Are we looking at a fashion icon, or a woman whose ambition led her to make dangerous, calculated choices? Buckle up. The story behind Coco Chanel is far from simple, and the truth may be more unsettling than we think. How does a poor, orphaned girl from a small French town rise to become one of the most influential fashion icons in history? Coco Chanel's journey began with tragedy and hardship. Born Gabrielle Chanel in 1883, her mother died when she was just 12, leaving her father to abandon her and her siblings. With no family to turn to, she was placed in an orphanage where she learned to sew, a skill that would unknowingly set the stage for her future success. But how could someone from such humble beginnings, with no formal education and little financial means, ascend to the heights of Parisian haute couture? Was it simply raw talent, or was there something else at play? Her early years were marked by struggle, but Chanel's tenacity was unmatched. After leaving the orphanage, she worked as a seamstress and even tried her hand at performing as a singer in cafes. It was during this time that she adopted the name Coco and began to make her mark in Paris. But how did she go from a small-town girl with a voice to a fashion mogul with global influence? Was it her connections, her ambitions, or something deeper? Perhaps a desire to reshape the world of women's fashion? What drove her to challenge the status quo in such a revolutionary way? The answers lie within her rise to power, a journey that defied all odds and started with a single daring step into a world that would soon be transformed forever. What happens when a fashion designer doesn't just follow trends, but creates them? By the 1920s, Coco Chanel had done the unthinkable. She had completely reshaped the world of women's fashion. Gone were the corsets, the heavy fabrics, and the restrictive styles of the past. In their place, Chanel introduced the revolutionary concept of comfort fused with elegance. The little black dress became a symbol of chic simplicity, and Chanel No. 5, her iconic fragrance, became a worldwide sensation. But how did one woman manage to so dramatically change the course of fashion in such a short period? Was it her relentless drive, or was it the timing? An era of rebellion, freedom, and newfound independence for women. Chanel didn't stop at just changing clothing. She changed the way women thought about themselves. With her designs, she liberated women from the constrictive norms that had long dominated society. But where did the idea come from that a woman could be both elegant and free? Her influence spread beyond just the fashion world, reaching into the Hollywood elite, with stars like Audrey Hepburn and Gloria Swanson adorning her creations. The question remains, what drove Chanel to not only dress women, but redefine how they presented themselves to the world? Was it sheer genius? Or was there something more to Chanel's power? A story we still don't fully understand? What happens when the world's most famous fashion designer is caught in the turmoil of a global war? Coco Chanel's story during World War II is nothing short of perplexing. As the fashion capital of the world was overtaken by the Nazi occupation, Chanel remained in Paris. But her ties to the regime raised questions that still linger today. She was linked to high-ranking Nazi officials, including her romantic involvement with Hans Gunther von Dinklage, a German intelligence officer. Was Chanel simply using her position to protect her business, or was she more deeply involved in Nazi activities than we are willing to accept? And why, after such an incredible rise, did she seemingly align herself with the very forces that sought to destroy the world she had built? As the war raged on, Chanel's brand was not untouched. The Ritz Hotel where she resided became a meeting place for Nazi officers, and rumors circulated that Chanel might have even used her influence to try to negotiate peace with the Allies. Could a woman, known for her revolutionary designs, really have been a collaborator? The truth remains clouded, with many wondering how much of her involvement in the war was a mere survival instinct, and how much was driven by something darker, a quest for power and control in the chaos of wartime. Was Chanel's legacy tainted forever by these years? Or is this part of the story we are too uncomfortable to face? How does a fashion icon, disgraced and exiled, make a dramatic return to the world that once adored her? After being shunned for her wartime affiliations, Coco Chanel's comeback in 1954 seemed like an impossible feat. At 71, after over a decade of self-imposed exile, Chanel reopened her Parisian boutique. But how did she convince a public that had long since turned its back on her? Was it pure genius? Or did she simply know how to exploit her powerful image and brand to win back the elite? The fashion world was skeptical. Was this the same woman who had flirted with Nazi officers? Or had she somehow reinvented herself, carefully crafting a narrative that would absolve her past and re-establish her reign? As the world questioned her motives, Chanel's designs spoke for themselves. She introduced the iconic Chanel suit and the 2.55 handbag, which would go on to symbolize a new era of fashion. Yet despite the success of her comeback, the unsettling question remained: how much of Chanel's return was really about fashion, and how much was about control over her legacy, her empire, and the very perception of herself? Was this truly redemption, or just another clever chapter in her never-ending game of reinvention? And how far was she willing to go to ensure that history would remember her not just as a designer, but as a woman who refused to be defined by her past? What does it mean when an empire built on elegance, luxury, and rebellion still thrives decades after its creator's death? Today, Chanel stands as a global powerhouse, one of the most iconic and lucrative fashion brands in the world. From its timeless tweed suits to the luxurious Chanel No. 5 perfume, the brand is synonymous with sophistication. Yet as the brand continues to soar to new heights, Coco Chanel's past, with its darker, more disturbing layers, casts a long shadow. How is it that a brand so deeply associated with beauty and refinement can still be tied to a woman who may have been involved in Nazi collaborations? Despite her immense influence, why do many still choose to overlook the controversial chapters of her story? Could the brand's immense success be a testament to its ability to mask the truth? Or is there a deeper reason why society continues to worship the legacy of Chanel? The story of Coco Chanel is far from over, and her impact continues to ripple through the fashion industry and pop culture. So, what's your take on her legacy? Do you see her as a trailblazer, a survivor, or a woman who used the system to her advantage? Let us know your thoughts below, and don't forget to subscribe for more deep dives into the untold stories of the world's most iconic figures. Your perspective could change the way we view history.